Today's episode is dedicated to a south-facing hill on the Rhone River and a family who traces its 16th generation of winemakers all the way back to 1481. The place is of course the Hermitage Hill, and the family is that of Domaine Jean-Louis Chave. We'll look at the history of the Hermitage AOC and dive into the mythical Chave wines and try to understand why prices have skyrocketed in the last decade. Of course, Pops and Stacey are ready to geek out, and maybe even more so than usual.
Wow, this is special. Hi wine lovers, welcome to another episode of Our Poor Decisions.
And promise me you and Stacey aren't gonna geek out too hard on me today.
You know what, B? One of the things that I appreciate most about making these episodes is that I get to learn so much along the way. And, I love that about this show.
Well, you did say when we first started the channel that we aren't the experts and we're actually going on this journey with our viewers, so I guess that's cool. But what makes Hermitage and Chave so exciting to you?
Well, what makes it so much fun for me is that the Northern Rhone is really the home of the Syrah. And Chave is the standard bearer for Syrah and Hermitage. So, I can't think of a better place to start.
Well, I know the viewers already know that you have some background information for them, so how about we just start there?
Let's do it. The Rhone Valley is one of France's most important wine regions, which stretches about 150 miles along the Rhone River from Lyon in north to Avignon in south. There are two distinct parts of the Rhone Valley. There's a northern Rhone and a southern Rhone. The southern Rhone is known for its Mediterranean climate, with hot summers, mild winters, and the Mistral wind. We've all heard of appellations like Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Gigondas, Baccarat, and it seems like you can always find a really good value from Côte de Rhone. There are a lot of grape varieties grown in the southern Rhone, but it's best known for Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre, or GSM for short. The northern Rhone, on the other hand, enjoys a continental climate with hot summers and cold winters. Here, the steep terraced vineyards benefit from the Rhone River's moderating influence. The best known appellations are Côte-Rôtie, Condrieu, Saint-Joseph, Chave Hermitage, Cornas, and Hermitage. And other than Condrieu, which is famous for Viognier, all of the other appellations grow Syrah. Today's episode is focused on Hermitage exclusively. What makes this AOC so unique is that it's just one large south-facing hill with about 350 acres of vineyard. If you think that's a lot, consider the fact that the vineyards of Lafite-Rothschild would take up about 70% of the entire AOC.
Welcome, Stacey.
Merci, bon Syrah.
Oh my goodness, well, here we go. Well, B is so afraid that we're gonna geek out.
I'll do my best not to.
I think it already happened.
What is it about Hermitage that's so unique?
Where do you begin? It is a tiny, tiny region. It is this one varietal, maybe added with some whites. It is super terraced, crazy high hillside, the slopes, the Syrah. There's so many great things.
I love what you just talked about, and we got a little clip to kind of illustrate exactly the points that you're making.
Nice.
Hermitage was first recognized as its own AOC in 1937. There are no such designations as Grand Cru or Premier Cru in the Rhone Valley, but if there were, I'm certain Hermitage Ale would be designated as such. This is prime real estate for growing exceptional grapes, and Hermitage was historically owned by noblemen, bourgeois, knights, and the church. This all changed in the 1860s, however, when phylloxera arrived in France. The Chave family had been growing grapes and making wines in an inferior region for 400 years, what is now known as the Saint Joseph appellation. But in 1865, the phylloxera devastation and the chaos that ensued gave the Chave family the opportunity to buy 7 acres in the Le Bessard section of Hermitage. And this would forever change the family's fortunes. Today, Domaine Jean-Louis Chave is believed to own about 34 acres of Hermitage, spread over a number of different plots. About 23 acres are dedicated to Syrah, and nearly 11 acres to Marsanne and Roussanne. In all, this would amount to about 10% of the appellation. So it just kind of blows my mind that just this little hill can have that much going for it.
It is a tiny hill. It can only do so much. It's completely surrounded by a whole nother AOC, so it can't get any bigger. So that makes it kind of special. And we're really getting to taste the cream of the crop. If you want to taste Hermitage and you want to know what it's all about, Chave is the one. He's also kind of the only one that is all estate grown fruit. The other guys are negociants. So Chapoutier, Dela, all of these guys do wonderful things, but this is like family all through and through.
It's kind of crazy that the current Jean-Louis Chave is like the 16th generation of winemakers. That's a lot of Jean-Louis Chaves.
It is a lot of Jean-Louis Chaves. Poor guy, his dad is the only one who hasn't had his name on the label because everybody else has been called Jean-Louis and he's Gerard. I think his mom was a little bit tired of the whole like family repetition.
Well, I want to get into the tasting, and so we have done a little bit of background on each of the bottles.
Nice.
So before we get into it, why don't we play that now? And I want to taste it.
And before we get into our tasting, if you guys have been enjoying our videos, the best way you can support us is to hit that subscribe button and like this video.
B, you're so professional about this. I never think about these things. I mentioned already how entire Hermitage appellation is essentially one hill. That being said, there are myriads of lieux-dits within the hill. Some producers, like Chapoutier, release cuvées such as Le Pavillon and l'Ermite from specific vineyards. But Chave specifically blends the various plots to make one optimal red and white Hermitage bottling. The only exceptions to this rule is that Chave will on a rare occasion produce a few hundred 3-bottle cases of Cuvée Cathelin from Le Bessard vineyard in honor of Bernard Cathelin, a close friend of the Chave family and a renowned French abstract painter. Good luck getting your hands on those bottles. But let's get back to the tasting. First up is the excellent 2004 Hermitage, which Robert Parker rated 94 points when it was first released, and Wine Spectator initially gave the wine 95 points and then upgraded the score to 96 in 2012. I opened and decanted the wine about 3 hours before our tasting, and it seemed muted and closed. Let's see what happened to it in the past 3 hours. I have never had a Jean-Louis Chave wine.
Neither have I.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting.
Excited.
Now
So excited. This is kind of like the dream world for Syrah, and Syrah is one of my favorite varietals. So we're checking one off of my wish list for wines to taste.
So we're starting with the 04, right?
Let's do it.
All right.
Woo, it's got that funkiness.
It does. That's that barnyard for sure. That is just natural to Syrah and natural to organic winemaking and Hermitage in general.
What do you get, B?
I just said it.
All right. Well,
What do you
so
get?
I do get funk, but I don't get kind of like the funk that, well, maybe I shouldn't say that. There is a lot of funk to it. But maybe I love funk so much that I'm like almost immune to it. It's like there cannot be enough funk for me.
I think we've seen your wine cellar. There's French wines, and the terroir of French wines brings a little bit of funk and barnyard to it, especially with a little bit of age. It pulls out some of that oakiness, some of the animal, leather, truffle, mushrooms. I think that's in here. I think that's what you're getting funky-wise, and I think that is part of some of the wines that you really love.
But there is a lot of fruit here too.
Oh, for sure.
This doesn't smell anything like a Shiraz.
No, it does not.
I mean, this is a cooler climate.
Correct.
Syrah, and it's not the big fruit bombs.
Right.
But these are really tannic too. They're meant to age.
Oh,
The
for
reason
sure.
why I chose an 89 in 2004, not only was one made by Jean-Louis Chave and one was made by his dad, Gerard, but they need a lot of time.
Absolutely.
Everything I've read says you got to
This
give it at
one's-
least 15 or 20 years.
Yep, this one's probably just coming, I'm dying to try this, but based on age worthiness, this one's probably just coming into its life to drink, and this one's probably peak. So I'm stoked to get to that one.
You know, the other thing that's really fascinating about, I have a chart that shows this, is that Syrahs from Hermitage have really skyrocketed value over the last decade. I mean, it used to be that you can get a bottle of Chave for maybe $100 or $200, and now it's $400 or $500 for just a regular vintage, and if it's a great vintage, it's $1,000.
Right.
And it hit the height during the pandemic, and then the prices have come down a little bit, and I think that's what the graph's showing. But what makes it so expensive?
I mean, I think we touched on it at the very beginning. It is a tiny little plot of land, and it can't get any bigger. So it is supply and demand. If you get people excited about this wine, which hopefully that's what's happening out there because Syrah is so freaking good, there's only so much to go around.
I just can't wait to try the first sip.
Should we just go ahead and try
let's do
it?
I think it's time.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Oh my gosh.
That's unique.
I tell you what, I had a cheat taste.
Did you earlier?
You know, whenever I open the bottle, right?
Sure.
I just have a little, just a tiny
You
little.
gotta make sure it's good.
And Jeff did too, right? Just make sure, you know, it was like, and it was so closed. There was really, it just gave us
How many hours ago was this?
So this was about 3 hours ago.
Okay.
And it just didn't give us much at all.
You weren't excited after that, were you?
Now, this is fantastic. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect. This is good stuff.
It's good stuff. The acidity on this wine is like, my mouth is still watering. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like beef jerky with like blueberries and raspberries in it. I mean, the flavor combinations are just insane.
B, what do you think?
I think it's really good. It's more acidic than I was thinking it was going to be. And
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
it's got
that.
high acidity for sure.
I'm trying to help our viewers describe this wine, right? And, you know, there are some similarities to this wine in that some of the aspects of Bordeaux that I really like. You mentioned the funkiness. There's still a bit of good acidity there.
Right.
There's some tannins in there.
Yep.
This has really great fruit. And I really appreciate that together with kind of all the other stuff that's going on. It'll be interesting to see if the 89 still have fruit left. But wow, this is special. And 04 wasn't even supposed to be that good of a year.
It's really not. They've updated to organic production, so they're not spraying. They're doing all of these things right by the earth that they're digging in. They've started replanting things by like rootstock for the soil, so they're doing it in a very intentional way. And I think that has started to really show in the wines.
You mentioned the chemicals. You know, one of the things that Jean-Louis Chave mentioned in one of the interviews that I read, you know, they have never used chemicals.
Yeah.
And so when the question was, well, about this organic and biodynamic, he was like, yeah, we were really not that concerned about getting the certification, but we haven't really used chemicals for generations for this very purpose. And I was like, I was just blown away that, you know, he's like viewing himself as just a small part of like history. Is it time to go to the 89 and compare and contrast?
I think so. Let's
B?
do it.
I'm ready.
Whereas the 2004 vintage may have been made primarily by Jean-Louis Chave, the credit for the 1989 Hermitage goes entirely to Jean-Louis' dad, Gérard. Jean-Louis Chave did not join the family business until 1992. So the two bottles we're drinking today sort of represent two different generations of winemaking at Chave. The 1989 Chave Hermitage was given 96 points by Robert Parker. I was unable to find a review of the wine by Wine Spectator. It should be noted, however, that my fellow wine lovers on Cellar Tracker seem to prefer the 1989 to the 2004, giving the 89 vintage an average of 94.9 points and the 04 vintage an average of 93.8 points. Pretty evident that they've gone to a longer cork. They want the wines to preserve longer. I mean, they're made for longer term. And so you want a longer cork to provide a better seal. This cork here, what's interesting about that is that's just about completely saturated, but it has not leaked, right? There's no sign of leakage anywhere, but it's been all the way, it's come all the way up, but it's, you know, but it's not leaking. And it's, you know, this is very wet and saturated. I expect this to be a fully mature Hermitage, right?
And I just want to say, I think these are going to go really well with the beef bourguignon that you made.
Aw.
B, you think you kind of spilled the beans here for Stacey or what?
Oh, what? Did Stacey not know?
So one of the things, Stacey, we learned was that every place I read, Jean-Louis Chave says, our wines, Hermitage, is really designed to be with food.
100%.
And we really have never done food on this show. Like we sit down and have dinner afterwards and we enjoy the food. And a lot of our viewers say, you know, what do you do with the wine afterwards? And I'm like, oh, we're drinking it with food and we're having a good time. I have leftover beef bourguignon.
It's going to be fantastic.
And when we're done trying the 89 here, I'm going to get some food out. And then we're going to try them again with the food.
Perfect.
So I don't get any fruit in the 89.
I think the 89 is definitely all the barnyard, for sure.
I mean, this is right up my alley. I mean, this is like, whoa.
It's almost like barnyard was for me here. This is almost funky for me.
And I think the 04, we were talking about whether the 04 was like really in the drinking window. I think it's in the drinking window.
For sure.
And it needed 3 hours to decant.
Yeah.
Totally changed. But you would have to think that the 89 is like prime window.
Absolutely, 100%.
Should we try it? Or are you guys still wanting to talk about it?
Well, I think the challenge is here trying to describe what this smells like for our viewers, right?
They can't scratch and sniff.
I wish there was.
Wouldn't that be cool? I think this is the barnyard. This is more of the truffles. It is mushroomy. It has
It's definitely mushroomy.
like leathery dirt.
And there's definitely some kind of wood, cedar, pine, something woody. All right, well, I am so ready to try this.
All right,
Me
let's
too.
do it. You're so patient. Cheers.
Cheers.
Whoa.
Ooh.
That's really flavorful.
It is so mouth coating.
It definitely makes your mouth water, tingle. There's not a lot of fruit.
There's some. It is very like dried cherry, or like if pomegranate seeds could be dried. I don't know that I've ever had that, but if like that is the flavor, it's kind of that fruit, but past its prime.
I could totally
You know?
see that.
I really like these two wines. These are the first two Chave wines I've had,
And they're
and they are living up to the hype.
they're so stellar, and for totally different reasons.
Mhm.
You know, like I'm gonna keep drinking this one until the food comes out. This I think is gonna be the blockbuster when there's some beef bourguignon on the table.
No, why do you say that?
Because the fruit in this is so like sippable and approachable and ready to drink now.
It's so good by itself, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good by itself. There's something complex about this that I think adding some food to it is just like, it's just gonna play so nicely.
I got food coming.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're back with the food.
This is pretty good, huh?
So exciting.
This is my leftover beef bourguignon. And I have to say, it's a little drier. I should have added some beef stock, but
The flavor's still great.
it's still a great flavor. All right, so got a little food. I'm gonna go back to the 04.
I think it's a good plan. Everything is more in the 04.
The food tastes better too when you go back to it. No offense.
Well, I did say it was a little dry.
My food tastes better with the bottle of Chave. I'm okay with it.
Should we just pour it over as sauce?
I did use a bottle of wine, but it was not a bottle of Chave.
No.
What is your go-to cooking wine?
They say that you're supposed to cook with wine, only with wine that you would drink. So whatever is the cheapest wine I have. And then I always look for natural corks, and I can corvin whatever amount of wine I need for the recipe. I don't know about you guys, but I'm already moving to 89.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what you said. You think this is going to be even better? Like,
I do,
this is best food wine.
for sure.
I thought it was good without food.
Let's go.
I think it's fantastic with food.
It gets better. I still like this one better before the food. This gets more, but some of the fruit that gets more isn't as good. It's almost like not as complex with the food. This one, the 89, I think is still complex, and it's almost as if it was meant to be with this food, right?
And this is why we have an expert at the show. I got to thank Jean-Louis Chave for what he was saying about food.
Oh my
Because
gosh,
it is absolutely true.
for sure.
This wine goes great with food, deserves food. What a way to drink great wine.
Yeah.
This
it
is
does
the way.
feel weird eating and standing.
Well, okay, but
Welcome to the restaurant business.
What an incredible experience it was to taste two fantastic wines from this legendary producer of Hermitage wines. We all agreed that both bottles were outstanding. Stacey and Jeff preferred the 89, whereas I thought the 04 offered a bit more fruit and enjoyment by itself. B said she couldn't choose and felt fortunate to have just participated. I guess that perfectly summed it up. We are so fortunate. Jeff, what do you think? What's your favorite wine?
Well, 89.
89? Not close. Jeff, you mentioned earlier that this kind of brought back memories of the 1990 Oprio. Is it that good?
To me, it's that good. It's I wouldn't put it past the Haut-Brion, but
It's in
I
the same.
love it. This is everything I love about wine.
Nice.
Just for the record, I'm not there, but this is fantastic. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Subscribe.